Hi friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And before I get going with today's video, I just want to apologize for the delay in content. This week at this house has been a complete and absolute dumpster fire. For lack of a better term, I'm going to put him right there to watch over things. We had COVID in the house. We had our dachshund Mala, one of 4 dachshunds she's been struggling with back pain and a herniated disc for the past month. She's been in and out of hospital, and we had uncontrolled pain again return this week, so she had to be admitted for 2 more days. There were sleepless nights, sickness, and all the things that you don't want. However, everyone is feeling better. Everything's on the upswing. Mala came home. She got a clean bill of health. She's doing very well, and she just has to rest for the next few weeks, so we're good to go. So what I have for you today is part 2 of the video series that I started Saturday, and those films were films that people hate that I love. So we did those, and you guys seem to enjoy that. So I'm going to do the flip side today. I'm a little nervous about this. These are films that people love that I don't. Now, it doesn't mean I hate them, because I can usually find something redeeming in almost any movie. I can always find something, for the most part, that I enjoy about the movie. And a lot of these, they're going to stay in my collection. I don't hate them. There's a few that are going to be purged, but you'll understand why when I get to them. But otherwise, I'm just going to run through them. And like I said, this is always for fun. It's not to gaslight. It's not to tell people what's right or wrong. There is no right or wrong answer. It's all subjective. We like what we like. And if your favorite movie is in here, I don't mean to offend anyone. It's all meant in good fun. It's just conversation starters. So let me know down in the comments, what are some movies that you don't really connect with, but people love. So let me know what those movies are. Now, this first one, I know a lot of people absolutely love this movie. I like the movie. I like it enough that I'm going to keep it in my collection. There's just one part of it that kind of feels like, it kind of gives me the ick factor, and it's towards the end, and it's Leon the Professional. And what we have is Leon, who is a hitman, and when his neighbors are killed and their 12-year-old daughter, played by Natalie Portman, is left alone, he kind of takes over like guardianship of her and watching over her, and she wants revenge on the people that killed her family, obviously. I think this is a really fantastic movie up until a certain point. There's a point in the 3rd act when the dynamics of the relationship, it feels like it changes into it almost feels like almost like they're in a relationship, but even though they're not, and it's not like overtly put out there, it's just a kind of hint at that, and it's very uncomfortable and very unsettling. I understand the protectiveness of him and the father-daughter thing, if it developed into that, but the way it's put out there, it's kind of weird, and it kind of has a little bit of an ick feeling to me. But other than that, I like this movie a lot, and I think it's a very well done movie, and it's definitely staying in my collection. But let me know, did you pick up on that in the 3rd act of this movie? Did you feel like the relationship got a little weird? Let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious. And I know I do need to catch up on comments. That's another thing I'm behind on. Now this one, this is a movie that I feel like people either love this movie or they don't. I really, really like this movie a lot. I like it enough that I upgraded a copy in my Criterion collection to a 4K when it was released. And I'm a huge fan of Orson Welles, and it's Orson Welles in Citizen Kane. I really, really like this movie, and I am a huge fan of Orson Welles. As a matter of fact, Touch of Evil is one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely one of my favorite Orson Welles performances of all time. My issue with this is nothing but the ending. When there's that big reveal, because Rosebud, this whole movie we're waiting to see what Rosebud means, or what it is, or who it was. And I'm not going to reveal the ending for anyone who hasn't seen this. I felt a little let down by it. And I don't know why, because it really does explain a lot about who he was, why he was the way he was, and what that meant to him. I guess I just wanted it to be a little more significant, but I don't hate this movie at all. I understand the importance of it in film history. I understand why it's held in such high regard. It's definitely one that I have watched more than once, and I will watch again. I just felt let down by that big reveal that we waited so long to see. So let me know what you think about the ending without spoilers in the comments. Did you feel the same way about when we found out what Rosebud meant, or is it just me, you know, expecting too much from this? But yeah, Citizen Kane is definitely on the list of, I didn't totally connect with that ending. Now this might stir the pot a little bit. I hope it's not a hot take, but I'm a big James Dean fan also. This is, out of the 3 films that he made, this is my least favorite, and I will tell you why. It is James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause. Now, again, I have it in 4K. This is a movie that I'm keeping in my collection. I will watch it again. I think my favorite from him is probably, I'm going to go with, maybe East of Eden is probably my favorite from James Dean. My issue with this one is I felt like in this particular movie, James Dean did a lot of overacting, like to the point where it was just almost like I was almost laughing because I felt like I just didn't buy it. I didn't buy the emotions coming from him. And I also felt like he seemed a little too old to be playing the part he was playing. And that could just be me. Let me know what you think in the comments. But I definitely felt like there were parts in this one where he was just overacting and overdoing it. And it just didn't need to be that dramatic. And that is my issue with this film. It's not that I don't like the story. It's not that I don't understand why it's so important. And I mean, the man did 3 films. Of course I'm going to have him in my collection. I'm a fan of James Dean. I just feel like there were some things in this movie that maybe could have been dialed down a little bit, and then it would have definitely been bumped up on my favorites list. So Rebel Without a Cause is my next one. Now this one might ruffle some feathers, and if it does, I apologize. All of these, if they ruffle your feathers, I don't mean any harm by it, but I'm just saying what I think. This one, I just got the 4K in recently. It was a review copy sent for me. I probably wouldn't have upgraded this one. I would have just stayed with my Blu-ray. But it is James Cameron's Titanic. I know people that absolutely adore this film, and I get it. Kelly's one of them. She's right upstairs, and she loves this movie. I get it. I get the hype. The hype is real. It is a beautifully shot, beautifully done movie. There are a couple things. When this movie came out, and it was all the rage, I was working in a gym, and the gym had bad reception. We got 2 radio stations. One was like a top 40, the other was a classic rock, which we would play at night. All day long with the top 40, I heard that Celine Dion song, like My Heart Will Go On or whatever it's titled, all day long. It was like they played it twice an hour. If I have to hear that song again, I'm going to put a fork in my ear because I can't stand it. No offense to Celine Dion, but that song, I can't. I heard it way too much. My other issue with this is I'm not the biggest Leonardo DiCaprio fan all the time. I love Kate Winslet. I think Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he's good in a lot of things. This one, if we took a shot every time he said Rose in this movie, you would be in an alcoholic coma. But before the 3rd act even started, it was ridiculous. It was just too much with the love story. This was a tragedy that happened where people died a terrible death, and we're focused on a love story. It just, I don't know. It hits wrong with me. I do appreciate how well done the movie is. I appreciate the cinematography, most of the acting. I thought it was a beautiful set design. I mean, it's a gorgeous looking movie, and there are parts of this movie that I really do like, and there was enough room on the door for him, for Jack. Jack should have been on that damn door. But I just want to say that there are some parts of this that I just found it grating, and I was like, enough with the romantic story. Let's get back to the boat. So that's my main issue with Titanic. That song kills me, and that is no fault of the movie, but it's just too much. And then just the whole romance and like the Rose, I can't. So it drives me crazy. But otherwise, I think it is a beautifully shot, beautifully done, and very well crafted movie. Let's put it that way. And it will be in this collection forever because Kelly absolutely loves it. So have at it, Kel. Now this one. I talked about it on the live stream I did a few weeks ago, in the impromptu live stream I did a few weeks ago, and people were laughing because they said my review was sand and too much sand and too much walking, and you can imagine it's Lawrence of Arabia. Now I understand this is a movie that people absolutely adore, and I get it. It's a classic for a reason. Maybe the issue is me. It very well could be with all of these that the issue is me. My problem with this one is I was so bored. I have tried to watch this so many times. I even had the 4K, and I sent it to my friend Cinema Dave because he loves the movie, and I'm like, you know what? There's no reason wasting the 4K on me because I couldn't even get through the second disc. So I sent it to him to enjoy. But I kept the Blu-ray because I am determined to finish this movie because I need to know where my disconnect is with this movie. I felt like everything I watched up until I got into the second disc, it was just walking and sand and riding on the camel and more sand and more walking. It just felt endless. And I guess maybe I didn't get to the part where it really becomes amazing. I don't know, but I don't hate it enough not to try again. I think the cinematography is absolutely stunning. The 4K of this was absolutely gorgeous. And it must be super popular with people for a reason. I just have to find that reason and try to connect with it. So I'm going to give it another chance and I'm going to figure this one out. But help me out in the comments. Let me know. Did you feel the same way? Like it was just a lot of sand and a lot of walking? Because that's what I found. But, you know, that's just my amateur review. Here we go. Don't take me seriously. Now this next one, this is going to ruffle some feathers. And it is John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. But hear me out. I absolutely loved John Wick when the first one came out. I thought it was something so unique, so different, so fresh, so cool. I loved everything about it. I thought the second part, John Wick 2, I thought it was a great follow-up. I thought it kept the story going. It added more layers. And I thought it was a great setup for part 3. I thought part 3 was going to just blow it out of the water. I thought it was going to be fantastic. Not that it was bad. I felt like this was really, really long. I didn't feel like the story was engaging enough to keep me interested. And it just felt like, kind of like Lawrence of Arabia where it's sand and walking. This just felt like a lot of running and fighting. And that's what it felt like. I was getting up, I was doing dishes, I was making lunch, and I was coming back, and I'm like, okay, he's still fighting. All right, I'm going to do something. All right, he's still fighting. And that's what I feel like. I feel like it's too long, and there's just too much of the same thing. Fighting and fighting and fighting and running and fighting and running and fighting. And that's what I felt like. Now, it absolutely redeems itself in John Wick Chapter 4. It was one of, I think, my honorable mentions for favorites for this year. So I think it absolutely redeemed itself in Chapter 4. I just felt like this one was a little long and a little too repetitive. Too much of the same thing and not enough guts to the story to keep me interested. But maybe that's just me. Let me know in the comments what you think of John Wick Chapter 3. Now, these next few, I will probably lose my horror fan card from some people, and that's okay. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just getting too old for some things. These first two, I'm going to clump them together because it's the same reason why I don't really care for them. They don't fit in my collection, and these two will be leaving my collection because I just find them too upsetting to watch again. And it is I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left. This was the recent 4K release from Arrow. It's a remake. It was sent to me for review. I did not go out and buy this, but this one I did buy because I wanted to watch it. My biggest issue with these is the assaults, if you know what I'm talking about. It is the brutality of the assaults that take place. I think it goes on too long. I think it's over the top. I think it's unnecessary. I understand there's a point they're trying to make, and I just find it too upsetting, and I don't think it adds enough to the story to be as long and graphic and brutal as it is. We get it. We understand what's happening. We don't have to focus on it over and over and over again. And it could just be that I'm just getting too old for these kind of movies and they don't fit into my taste for my collection anymore. But I feel like our collections need to constantly be fluid. They need to be moving. And if things don't fit what we want our collections to be, which should be a representation of our tastes, they need to go. And these two need to go because they don't fit my taste for what I like in horror and why I am a horror fan and what I enjoy most about horror. It's not these kind of movies with these particular kinds of assaults in them. And it's not something I feel like I have to justify. I feel like that's a legitimate gripe with these types of movies. So they're going to be going from the collection. They're nice additions. They're great additions, but I can't connect with the content not that I ever really connected with the content, but I don't want them in my collection anymore. So they're going to be going to a new home somewhere. Now this one, I know I'm going to be treading some dicey territory with some diehard horror fans, but just hear me out. And this one will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen it and I hold up the movie and you don't want to know, click away or fast forward 2 minutes and I'll be done with it. It is the first Terrifier. Now, there's a couple reasons that there are reasons to love this movie. I love the character of Art the Clown. I truly do. I think he is brilliant. He is terrifying. The fact that he never speaks, genius. I love that. There's so much to love about this, and it is such a refreshing take on the horror genre. I think it brings something new, something interesting. My problems with this movie are, first of all, in the very beginning, the bathroom situation. I was gagging. I've never seen anything like that before. Well, I mean, I've seen it in real life when people were cleaning up crime scenes, but it was just too much for me. Also, there was another scene that involved a woman hanging upside down and a hacksaw that it is burned into my mind forever, and I can't stand it. I want it removed from my brain. It is so unsettling and just way too over the top for me. I just can't. And my biggest issue with this one, and this is, if you don't want spoilers, this is when you need to fast forward. I can't stand that they gave him a gun. Why would you take something that's supposed to be like, the thing about these movies is, like, take the Friday the 13th, one of Kane Hodder's, one of the episodes that Kane Hodder plays Jason. One of the most popular kills in there, it's called the sleeping bag kill. And if you know, you know. But, like, they get more creative with their kills. But to hand off like a handgun to this clown, it kind of takes the creativity out of the kills. And I couldn't stand that he had a gun. So that really bothered me about it. But those are my issues with Terrifier. Is it leaving my collection? I don't think so. I think I'm going to keep it. I may try and revisit it. Now, I do have Terrifier 2 because I heard that the story is better. I know it's more gory. I know it's more graphic. But that was another thing. I didn't think the story on this one was all that solid, but it's a first effort. Well, All Hallows Eve was the beginning of Art the Clown, but this was the first, like, feature-length one. And I give it time for them to develop the character and the story. So I kind of gave the weaker storyline a pass on this one. But those other things, just, I can't get by them. So I'm going to watch Terrifier 2 eventually when I gear myself up for it. And until then, this will stay in my collection. If I don't like Terrifier 2 any more than I like this one, then they might be going. But I might give it another chance, so we'll see. Now, these last two, if you're a big comedy fan, I apologize. I am a really, really self-proclaimed hard sell when it comes to comedy. And sometimes, poor Will Ferrell, he just gets on my nerves. And Step Brothers, it kind of drives me crazy. I don't mean to be mean about it. I know people love this. I know people have a good time with it. I just find it a little bit silly. I don't connect with it. I love, like, Seth Rogen, and I know he's goofy. I love Steve Carell. I know he can be goofy. I don't know, something about this, the combination of John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, it just didn't work for me. I think it's over the top, it's silly, and I just don't connect with it. I don't find this particularly funny. Again, Kelly loves this one, so it's staying in the collection, and I get it. I get that things strike people differently, and if you like this, that's great. Enjoy it. I just don't really like it. I find it silly. So Step Brothers is another one that's, you know, it's here for Kelly, as is this one. And again, I'm a tough sell. We're combining two things, holiday movies and comedy. I'm a tough sell, and I'm sorry, but Elf, it just feels like a giant man-child, which I know that's what he's supposed to be. I don't connect with it. I don't connect with the character. I don't connect with the comedy. I don't find it particularly funny. I find it a little bit annoying, and I have a hard time getting through it. But it's another one. Kelly loves it. It's staying in the collection. We watch it every year. I'm a good sport about it. I don't hate it. I just don't really connect with it. So I'm sure you have plenty of movies like this. Maybe there's comedy movies or horror movies or, well, I mean, there's plenty of people who come on here and tell me that when I hold up the horror movies that they can't even watch them. I get it. We all like different things. I definitely have trouble with musicals and with comedies. Those are the two that I have a lot of trouble with. But Elf kind of made my list of, I don't really love it, I don't hate it, but I don't really connect with it. I just find it to be a little weird and a little silly, and I really don't get like all the the love for it, but if you love it, enjoy it, just have fun with it. Don't take my opinion seriously, because who cares what I think. But Elf is the last one. So those are the films that people love that I don't necessarily connect with. So don't take it seriously. Don't hate me. Just take it for what it is. And this was a requested video, and I did it. There you go. There's some films that I don't really connect with. So I want to thank you all for watching so much. You know I appreciate each and every one of you who take time to click on these videos and give me some time during your day. There's plenty of other things you could be doing, and you probably will now. But if you're around tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing a live stream here on the channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with my good friend Tony from over at Basement Blues. If you're here, you already know Tony. He's the ultimate collector, and we always have a great time together. So please come on by, say hello, and if you can't make the live stream, definitely check out the replay. And we're just going to talk everything physical media. It's just going to be light and easy and fun, and we'll see where it goes. So if you enjoy content like this and collection updates, movie reviews, top 10 lists, movie recommendations, feel free to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you know when I upload again. But we have a lot of good stuff coming this week, and no more dumpster fires. So I'm going to go upstairs, check on the girls, and make sure everyone's okay. And I will catch you guys tomorrow, hopefully at the live stream. So for now, that's a wrap.